Cybersecurity is one of the most pressing challenges of our time, and tackling it requires collaboration at every level. So in this fireside chat, threat intelligence sharing, collaborative approaches to tackle cyber threats, we'll explore how intelligence sharing can create stronger defenses against cyber attacks. So please welcome our expert speakers. We have Sean A. Cooper, Farrell Foley, and Archon Choudhury. Please give them a big round of applause as they make their way onto stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back here today again after our cybersecurity section yesterday. And I'm happy to see that people are still here attending a conference. It's a sign that it's a good, nice event, and we are all happy to be here to share knowledge, to share what we know, to share what problem we face every day, and to share together our ideas about how to overcome our challenges, and here in this particular context, how to mitigate cybersecurity. So here on my right, I have Sean, who made a brilliant presentation yesterday regarding cybersecurity awareness, and Arkan on my left side. And today, we are going to talk about how can we work together so that we can have an effective cybersecurity mitigation solution. Yesterday, Arkan emphasized on the fact that we need detection, we need a good method for detection, while Sean talked about awareness. You need to know what is good for you, what is not. You need to know what to fear, and you need to know what you have to do as action when you are under attack, or what you are thinking that something not good is happening to your IT device. And today, we want to talk about intelligent sharing. How can we share knowledge to improve cybersecurity mitigation technique? So I give the floor to Sean to start and giving a brief idea about what he thinks, then Arkham, and we will continue with how we are going to settle the panel for today.
Thank you, Farrell. So as far as this subject matter, this is what I live every day. Part of my everyday business is in cyber threat intelligence, if you will, if not reconnaissance of such related to visibility. So the most important thing about sharing ultimately is being part of a trust group, that there needs to be bidirectional ability to share information, especially whether it's in your specific industry, with its, in my world being national security and federal space across maybe other agencies, maybe some of your peers that you know, some that you don't know. But there are many different ways, either just on some of those relationships that you should begin to create within the community. We talked about it briefly yesterday. Cyber is a team sport. Understand your other team members out there so that you can reach out to them. And again, at my level federal, that also means reaching across the border to my neighbors as well. We can kind of touch on more specifics of that. There are many different ways, but ultimately a lot of it is just communication. Communicating and knowing whom to communicate with, and each of you has certain things that you do that's pretty well that the other person might be able to learn from, or expand upon, and or maybe help justifying getting some of that themselves for their entity. So it is a very important subject for all of us to continue to fight this ongoing and never-ending battle against the threat in cyber.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Hey, everyone. So it's almost part 2 of what we discussed kind of yesterday. So I'll try to double down the fact why cyber and why threat intelligence is important for a business. So we are all talking about building a brand, building personal brand or company brand, right? So now how cyber can hamper your brand value as well. So that is something we all should be conscious about, that how a bad PR or how something can damage your brand reputation. So now again, coming to the point, so everything may not be related to directly with the cyber threat when we say as a threat intelligence, but there are many aspects which we should have visibility into, and we keep our eyes open to understand that if there is someone who is talking bad or who is just creating a bad PR in, like, in social medias or in other open channels which can hamper your brand. So there can be different aspect of it by which we basically see it and we consume the intelligence. So there can be some, maybe a X brand that you might be putting all of your effort, front brand awareness, campaigns, lead generations, and all of the stuff. Now, maybe someone who might have registered a similar kind of business and who is trying to steal your spotlight. And I have seen that when I used to work for another firm. It's a very big FNGC company. So what we used to do, so they used to, they basically work on many water purifiers. So now someone has registered a fake website that we call as cyber squatting by the same name. And now all of the sudden they have done the SEO in such a level and doing the ad campaign. So whenever you search for that particular brand purifier service center in Google, top that fake cyber squatting site will appear. Now people will click on it, they will get into the call and they will order the service, but they are not getting the genuine service, but they are getting the fake service. And ultimately, when something goes bad after getting the money or after extortion of the money, when they are not getting the service, ultimately the brand gets affected. So from all of the point of view, it is very important for us to know that this kind of thing can happen. And if something has happened, how we should have visibility on top of it, and how we should share the communication and have a plan ready to take some action. So I'll maybe talk about it later, like how we can take down those things from legal aspect, and there are a lot of other ways, but yeah, for now we'll move on.
Thank you very much. Good start into the topic. So I do think that when we are talking about intelligence, there are always a lot of ways to classify information. We have data. From data, we extract information. Then we extract some intelligence, and then some wisdom, some knowledge. There are different levels. But it's all start with data. And how we manipulate, how we treat this data will get us to knowledge, wisdom, and etc. And one thing you mentioned that I like to talk about, reporting. If you know something is happening, you report. This is very crucial when we are gathering some data. Imagine when you are sick or you get a flu, you don't report. And there are 1 billion of people on Earth at the same time getting the same flu, and none of them report. We will know that there is an epidemic going on? No, we won't know. So it's only by reporting that we can know that something is going on. There is a pattern that we must pay attention to. And from that, scientists, legal, many stakeholders should work now together to develop a countermeasure for what is going on based on the report of many different people. I give you an example. When I was coming to Dubai, I wanted to apply for my visa. So I just went on Google, I tapped Visa Emirate. Then I have a first website, so I say, okay, Google says it. I click on it, I start my application. Then at some point I was like, no, it looks weird to me, this web page, and what they're asking and how they want my money so fast, it's weird. So I was like a little bit clueless, I asked a few friends, have you been to Dubai before? How did you apply? They told me, okay, you can apply through your hotel or whatever. I was like, no, I'm now confused. So I went to ChatGPT. I say, look, I'm going to Dubai. Is this website I'm using currently legitimate or not? ChatGPT told me, no, it's not legitimate. It's not official partner of, let's say, foreign affairs of Dubai. I say, okay, but why do you say that? Tell me a reason why. I said, there had been complaint on TripAdvisor that this website is a scam. I said, okay, please show me some link. Then I had a few links and comments that actually this website was a scam. And I was like, why is Google displaying that website as first? Because how the ranking page works, and this is a problem, you know, and that means anybody can just be hooked this easy way in applying to the visa here, and they were even charging more than the normal one. So I went to Emirate Booking, then I managed my booking, and I applied to Booking, and I got a price that was $100 cheaper. And what does that mean? That means information sharing. If ChatGPT didn't have a lot of information and comments for people who reported this website, I will never have known. Even though ChatGPT will tell me, I may say it's a mistake, but I will not be convinced. But by linking this information to different people who already complained, I was sure it was wrong, and I started. Then I will also report this again. So this is very important, and I want to ask my people here, how do you think, what tool exists for people to gather information and to use this information as threat intelligence? And also, how do you think stakeholders can collaborate together? You talk about borders, like one country will not want to share information with another country, but if a cyber attack is happening between two countries, they better share information. So how will this problem be solved? I heard about cyber diplomacy recently, which is a rising trend in cybersecurity. What do you propose as tool, regulatory and?
Good question. So there, as I mentioned, there's a bunch of trust groups. So many of the cyber defenders are part of blogs. That seems to be the more universal sharing mechanism, whether it's there are a bunch of dive bombers who are coming in trying to create chaos, but the majority of the folks in there are legitimate people in all aspects of cyber, from coders to hackers to developers to actual threat hunters and the like. They're all in there and they're sharing information. And within those environments, they have links to events, because there are conferences out there that are geared just to the cyber defenders. Within the major IT and cyber events, there's always some sort of little gathering that they have just for the practitioners, beyond the salespeople and others and all the other people who are involved. So there are, you really just kind of have to look out there, because they're all over the place. Those of us who are all participants in it realize that the community is there. So you have to, if you're new to it, look. They were talking about earlier, getting to conferences and doing the other things. You've got to get out, and to your point about the healthcare analogy along with cyber, I often say to people, I said, do you notice that they use the same terms? Because both of them are in an environment that never will be solved. There's always something new. So there's plenty of communities that are addressing it from that perspective.
Yeah, really good point. So I'd like to add few of the things for the people who probably are looking for ways to validate some of the resources which they may get or they may come to know about whenever searching for some information. And this goes for the people who are working on the management side, on the marketing side, and the sales and brand development side as well. How do you validate if you have got some website or you have got some domain or URL, whether it is authentic or not? First, to understand, is it authentic or not, right? So there is an open website called virustotal.com. Okay, so just make a note of it. It's free website. You don't need to sign up anything. whenever you come to about any link, any website, paste it there and just search for it. You will get all of the information about that website, and it's currently maintained by Google. It's been there for ages now, but it has been evolved in such a level that we trust that blindly. So there are a lot of other websites as well, but this is the main that anyone can use it. This is first thing. Second thing is that let's assume that you are just doing some research about your own organization, and if you try to see that, okay, I don't know that how many PRs have been released by some names, some email addresses and stuff like that. There is a website called hunter.com. Okay, so you just need to provide your organization name. There is a paid subscription also available, but that website is a threat intelligence gathering website. Beyond cyber, if you want to know about how my past PR news and other things has been released, go for that, search for your organization. It will give you the details, who has released that, whether it is coming from an authorized resources or not. You will get all of the information available there. So this is also we use for something called, as I mentioned, cyber squatting, right? So for an example, if my website name is Black Pearl, right? So today's world, it is very easy to register a domain, right? It's just a piece of cake. Now I can just tweak the name BLSCKPERL in the place of E, I can use a Roman E character, right? So it will get accepted, and the domain name is also available, right? So I can register a domain, I can just copy paste the same information if you do not have a properly maintained brand protection or trademark thing. Now the thing is that to know about that, those websites are belongs there, or their website presence, it's very important for a brand to know that on the back of their head these kind of things are happening, because I would guarantee that 80% or 85% people are not even aware of that this kind of thing can happen. So yes, we as the security team are taking care of it, but from a brand perspective, the people who are representing a brand on a global level to their customers, they would also need that validation, because when you pitch to some of the customers about your product, about your stuff that you want to get conversion from, the first thing that the customer, after your call is done, your discovery call is done, they would go search for the website. And in top, if they see that fake website is coming from, and they get routed to a different place, it creates just a bad PR for you, right? So these are all the things that is known, and right now social media is so much hype. If this kind of information and these kind of things are there in the website, they would just do a tweet, they would post it in the Instagram, and things will get really burned as high as possible.
Thank you very much for this insight. I have something that I like to share most of the time. Information, knowledge is something, when you share it, it grows. It's very, let's say, ironic, but it's true. When I give you a piece of information, you give me one, we both get at least twice of the information, at least, because the combined information also brings new information. So what is important? Knowledge is impossible without information. And it's by using the intelligence that we can do, okay, how can we go from this information to a knowledge that can help our, let's say, organization. One company alone cannot, let's say, make all mistakes. One company alone cannot get all attacks. But different company will get attacked differently and might have solution for what they have overcome, and we need to be aware about what has been done so that we can prepare ourselves, we can protect ourselves in advance. Currently many companies are moving into the cloud, especially because maintaining, let's say, a cybersecurity team within a company is hard, is expensive, and they have to fight every day to know new attack, new scenario, and be protected from. but yet they don't have all the resources required. But at the same time, in the cloud, Google, for instance, or Amazon, AWS, sorry, when one of the clients, one of the billion of a customer has one cyber attacks, they develop a solution. This solution is then available for everybody at the same time. So that's one of the reasons people can, let's say, want to go into the cloud. You might not choose to move to the cloud, but then you need to be ready to know how you collect information, how you stay abreast about new trending technology. So I will ask my panelists here, what do you think about computer emergency response team, those set has been established in many different countries, who can, based on information, something is happening here, something is happening here, then it means this, you know, a pattern. And then they try to collaborate to develop a mitigation technique. What do you think about those? And how do you think, or what are your thoughts about in which direction they should progress? How should they evolve to cope with the, let's say, ever-increasing cyber security, cyber threats, I would say?
Those are actually my customers. So I deal with the CERT teams and the CCERT teams across the globe, roughly right now about 125. Yes, to your point, they are often the fire department for the country when there's a fire, for businesses, private businesses and or smaller government agencies who do not have their own internal teams. The best way for them to be of help is continuing for people to pay their taxes so they have funding to do what they need to do for this ever-evolving and ever-changing market that we're in. Now, most of them are doing some great things, and what they continue to need to do, like every other entity, is to continue to stay ahead of the curve as best they can. Be about that information sharing, the information gathering, the researching, understanding the proper ways to remediate and triage and clean up the messes so that, you know, as people know with attacks, if you've been broken into and you don't really solve the problem, you just fix what was broken, they're coming back the same way again. So all of those things from an educational standpoint, from a research standpoint, and or maybe even as well as an educational standpoint for the nation, they should be, I think, what they have not had the bandwidth to do necessarily, depending on the countries. And I work with a CERT in both of the countries that you live in, as they don't have the bandwidth to really educate the masses. So that's probably the thing I think they need to do, and it's a bandwidth thing, frankly. But so I'm not sure how they address that, although, you know, if you're in one of these countries where Gen Z is 60 or 70% of your population, maybe help us on the way.
Before I get to you, sorry. So I think one thing here that I don't want to lose is it's not only about having the information or providing the information or willing to share the information, but it's all about the chain of this information sharing and what it means, this information sharing, and what has, so
disinformation, oh, that dirty word. I really don't know the answer to that for disinformation, because there's a bunch of chaos agents out there. That's their whole.
But it's good. I think it was, for me, it's just a comment. I realized from your intervention that it's not just about that. It's about a whole ecosystem that needs to be in place. Yeah.
The education piece is going to help with the disinformation. So.
That's absolutely right, because we are literally bleeding on the area that we don't have proper manpower, right? So that's the problem, because most of the people really do not understand the need of the cyber, the proper education. There are a lot of companies out there in the market who are just making money out of the education term, right? So I don't want to name and shame anyone, but the reality is totally different, right? So on a standpoint, like when we work with the world best CERT teams, and the CERT team as in Security Incident Response Team, right? So it can have many names, CERT, SIRT, but most of the countries have their own incident response team, that is cyber incident response team. Now, the thing is that the team bandwidth is limited. There are limited people who are working day and night, burning midnight fuels to perform those attacks, defending those attacks. I have been there in multiple CERT teams in the company throughout my life. I know the pain of the area, but to the normal audience, so the thing may look like that it's all normal. So I'll just ask a simple question. How many of you use zip application? Anyone use? Okay. So any of you use 7-zip? So do you know there is a very recent vulnerability that has been launched in 7-zip? It's just yesterday's news. So if you are using 7-zip, just ensure to upgrade it to the latest version. Otherwise, what you are using 7-zip to zip some of your maybe confidential data that can get leaked. Okay, this is intelligence sharing, right? So now the thing is that, so we on the defender side are pushing our limit to provide the education, provide the updates, information to the global audience. But somehow what I feel in the speed of the light, we try to lose the track, okay, because always whenever I go in some crowd, people see us in some, shady noise that these are the guys who are the culprit behind stopping everything. The product life cycle and other things. We are the bad people, really we are the bad people.
We're the police.
Yeah.
People don't like the police.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We just have less than 4 minutes left, and I will give the floor to the audience for questions. And feel free to ask questions. Any question from the audience?
While everybody's thinking about that.
Say something?
Yeah, while everybody's thinking about it, we're going to ask a question. Yesterday when I gave my keynote, I talked about a couple of different companies I named, and I said they all had cyber attack in October. One of them I mentioned, I noticed on the news last night, the CEO was assassinated.
Wow.
They said he was killed on the streets of New York City, and it was not random. So when we speak about some of these cyber attacks, it was United Healthcare, the CEO. So people realize, you're talking a branding issue of destroying a brand or whatever. Someone evidently seems to have been harmed by their information in that attack, that they lost their mind and went after a CEO. I mean, I don't know how long they're going to get away, but probably will not. But that's the seriousness of what we're dealing with often. So.
Thank you for this information sharing, and rest in peace, I would say. And so we will go to the end of this panel, and I would like to give a takeaway for today. The most important thing for me, I think, in cybersecurity, yesterday I mentioned that users are central and weakness point of cybersecurity. If your users do not comply, then you will not implement an effective cybersecurity posture for your company. Today, I would like to emphasize on the fact that it's always good to do security by design. When you want to develop a solution, a product, don't first develop the solution and at the end, think about how you can add security on it. It doesn't work because each essential function of your design or your product or your system must be thought with security in mind. This is the only way that you can lower the risk of your system, and even without external countermeasure, you can still sustain for a period of time. I really like the analogy between cybersecurity and healthcare, and I will give a last one. Imagine when we are born, we can grow up and our system will defend against many viruses, many things throughout our whole life without us going to the doctor. Imagine the ancient people that were living for a long time. Why is that possible? Because our system, our immune system, is designed securely in nature. Of course, there will be cases that the system could not defend itself, but at least it's first designed securely. And with vaccine, the system will learn to defend against new system. But this design by security, this security by design is very essential to achieve a resilience of system or product that we develop. So on that note, I will give the floor to my panelists to say the last note for the meeting.
I'll just add to the analogies for security by design. We all live in a home of some level. When it's built, they give you just a basic door lock, which is, maybe on the handle, maybe you'll have a little latch, but depending on where you live, that might not be sufficient. Mm-hmm. That is kind of how software is made. Mm-hmm. So software is made with a very lower level of security. Again, it's always about the user experience. We want to simplify the user experience. Okay, we got a little bit of security. If they really want to get in, if I want to get into your house, you just got a little doorknob. I'm either going to pick it or I'm going to kick the door in. Yeah. But in many cases, like we all do, we have to add some other level. It's a bolt-on. It's not by design.
Of course, yeah.
So the user experience now, I've had to adjust it for where I am because you didn't think it was enough to put that in there, and now I've got to remake the whole framework of the design of the home.
Yeah.
So that's why you should sort of see security that way. Build it in up front.
Yeah.
So it's smooth and it's just part of the framework.
Example, the internet was made without security by design. That's why we are having all this trouble today. It was just invented, implemented for information sharing. No one ever thought about someone hacking someone else. So this whole design now is putting all at security vulnerabilities every day.
Yeah. So all well, all good. So just one piece of thing from my side. As we are telling that sales is the mindset, right? So cybersecurity is also a mindset. So how you think to approach a problem that you think that it's a cyber problem and it's really exists there, you would be able to go there. Otherwise, if you think that, okay, maybe I'll skip, as you mentioned, security by design, I'll develop the product, I'll launch the product, it's done. Ultimately, it's gonna bite you at some point in time.
Thank you.